Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Telescope Show.
What's up, everybody? Everyone in this place, if you could do a handstand, I want to see your feet up in the air.
Hello, and welcome to the Telescope Show, where we discover God through geek culture. Matthew Seipel Anderson here, coming at you with another episode. Lots of great stuff on the show today. It's a heavy episode. Why in the world did Lucasfilm fire Gina Carano? It's actually not the question I want to get down to the bottom of. I'm talking about this hot topic of Gina Carano being fired from Lucasfilm. So what I want to know today is why were so many people passionately pushing for her to be fired? So many individual people. Why did they spend their time doing that? But before that, let's jump into some news. I've got some fun space news today. The NASA Perseverance rover landed successfully on Mars, which is a huge accomplishment. Head over to the Telescope Show website, thetelescopeshow.com, and join our Facebook group. And I'm sending you over there to this telescopeshow.com because I want you to check out the website, but there's also a link to the Facebook group. It's the Telescope Show, Geek Culture and Faith group. Check it out. The group is also linked to our regular Facebook business page, so you can find all this conversation happening over there. Do you think they will find signs of life on Mars? Well, the USA isn't the only country sending things over to Mars. The United Arab Emirates and China have all put satellites around the red planet. So now all of us countries on Earth can begin fighting for that piece of cold, red, dead Martian landscape. Oh yeah. Oh, did I mention there's like 99% less atmosphere than on Earth? Constant bombardment of solar radiation, horrible soil. Man, I don't know. I don't know about you. I have no desire to go to Mars. BusinessInsider.com reports that a Spanish company called Zero to Infinity plans to offer trips to space in massive helium balloons for the cool sum of $132,000. Whoa! I don't know. If you got 132 G's laying around and want to go to space, that might be the way to do it. You could just float up there in style. It'd be fun. All right, let's hop into our feature story, the Gina Carano story. This episode, like I said, on the firing of Gina Carano could be perceived as political. But I want to take a different approach today. I want to look at some of the news coverage, and I want to look at Gina's actual tweets that got her fired. And I want to dig into, why did people want her fired? And what's going on inside of our hearts and lives these days, our inner lives? What's going on inside there that maybe there might be something we can address, or might be a great tie-in to faith and to some of the things that Jesus said and did. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. But, here's the thing. I want to make this statement up front. I do believe, after I've mulled this over, that Disney has the right to set their own policy about how their personalities behave and what they put on social media. So I'm all for free speech. However, Disney does not have to open up its platform to any kind of speech they want. And I relate to this a lot because I work for a church, right? I'm a pastor at a church. And the church literally offers me its stage and a voice on its online platform. And there's this understanding that my personal social media presence is like an extension of the church's, right? To a certain degree. And I would be a fool to think I could create posts that are blatantly against the values of my church and still keep my job there. So, should Disney be more tolerant of people of different political persuasions like Gina Carano? Yes, I personally think they should be, right? I'm definitely on Gina's side on this one. However, I do also believe that it's Disney's prerogative to set their own policies and make those decisions, right? It's just, it's their stage. I'm just letting that sink in. It's their stage. But that being said, I hate the idea that people on the right and the left are pushing so hard to cancel each other for expressing views that are contrary, right? It's just so tribal. It's frustrating. And I noticed this big time, even in the reporting of this whole issue surrounding Gina Carano. So, Entertainment Weekly, for example, their coverage was clearly antagonistic to her. So, let me read you a little snippet from that article. On Tuesday evening, amid a backlash to social media posts shared by Carano that compared modern American politics to Nazi Germany, mocked the use of masks to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and propagated misinformation about voter fraud, Lucasfilm issued a statement distancing the studio from Carano and condemning her posts. Now, that statement's, I guess it's pretty much true, but the way it's worded, it brings in a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of assumptions behind this reporting, and the assumption is that Gina Carano is just way out of bounds. I mean, just promoting these crazy conspiracy theories and way out there. And as you'll see when we read the actual posts, if we can take a step back and take a breath and just read the posts for what they actually say, you might not find them as inflammatory as Entertainment Weekly would suggest. But, let's get into it. So the New York Post did us a big favor, and they actually, I wanted to say print, but they're online. Maybe they're print too. I don't know. I read it online. They put out there the actual posts that got Carano fired. So I thought that their coverage was a lot less dismissive, a lot less cancel-y. So let's check out some of these posts. And like I always do, I will put these links in the show notes so you can go check them out for yourself if you're curious. So here's the one. This is like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? So she puts this out there. She says, Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them for simply being Jews. Now, of course, she's comparing modern day, what's going on in our culture, to what happened back then in the days of Nazi Germany. And I can see how that, it might ruffle your feathers, right? If you feel like you're being compared to a Nazi, it's not a good feeling in your heart when that happens. But just take a step back. What's she really saying? What she's really saying, think of it this way. Pretend that statement was made by an outside observer who was just looking at our divided society, right? The right is just as guilty as the left in this regard to having these knee-jerk reactions against their political opponents. They both have their labels that they use against each other to tear each other down. And what she's saying in this post clearly is that right now people are hating each other. They're hating each other for their differing political beliefs. And it's just gotten to this crazy state where we're so divided that we can hardly even consider the person in the opposite camp as like a sane individual, right? We just think they're so crazy for having different views than what we have. And I don't know. I don't feel like Gina Carano's post is all that crazy personally. Now, maybe you think I'm wrong. I would love to hear your perspective of why you feel that way. So head over to our Facebook group and just and share your thoughts, right? Obviously, we're trying to be respectful, but let me know what you think. Help me out here. I just don't see why this is worth being fired over. I can see, being told, hey, tame it down. We're not a political organization. You're part of the Disney family. We got to keep it chill. But I don't know. So anyway, let's move on. Here's the next one. She also posted this. We need to clean up the election process so we are not left feeling the way we do today. Put laws in place that protect us against voter fraud. Investigate every state. Film the counting, flush out the fake votes, require ID, make voter fraud end in 2020, fix the system, and then she throws in a little cute American flag emoji. Now, again, this post carries the assumption that there was voter fraud in the 2020 election. But it stops short of claiming that there was actual widespread fraud, right? Again, actually look at what the post says. Take a breath, take a step back. Maybe she has endorsed some more crazy conspiracy theories in other posts. I'm not sure about that, but, just listen to these words. We need to clean up the election process so we are not left feeling the way we do today. Certainly, it's true that many people's confidence in the system felt shaken in 2020, right? Donald Trump was able to get up and make claim after claim about voter fraud. And why did so many people believe him? Could it be that maybe we need a better system so people are more confident? Wouldn't it be a great thing to have a system that people believed in so they would refuse to believe someone like Trump? Personally, I don't believe voter fraud played a huge part in the 2020 election. I just can't believe that because the conspiracy would have to be so wide. I just don't think there would be any way to pull that off without somebody coming clean or somebody getting caught, right? And speaking of getting caught, there's a hilarious story. It's actually a pretty sad story, but, I'm just choosing to see it in a funny light. And it comes from the Texas Tribune, and I'll link it in the show notes. There was an ex-police officer who was a private detective who was hired by one of these conservative groups to go out and investigate voter fraud. And he was certain that he had found where they were printing the phony ballots. And so he did a stakeout, and he ran this delivery truck off the road, pulls the driver out, literally holds him at gunpoint because he's so convinced that he's found, the evidence. He's found the truck full of ballots, and he's going to be the hero. Yeah, no ballots. So, now he's in jail, right? So that being said, what's so inflammatory about wanting a more secure voting system? Wouldn't that bring the nation together? So why did so many individuals demand that Disney fire Gina Carano, right? So I want to bring on one completely unrelated story, but I'm going to tie it all together and it'll make sense. So there's a student, and this is coming from my home state of Minnesota. He's a student on the U of M campus, or lives near the U of M campus. Anyway, he was stopped by police by the U of M, and he was questioned because he fit the description of a suspect that police were searching for, and he was found walking just blocks away from the scene of a crime they were investigating. So this student, after this interaction with the police, makes a huge stink about it, makes a bunch of accusations about the officers, and it kind of blows up on the campus. And as it's happening, the police, obviously catching wind of all this, negativity that's going on, and they hit back. They were very quick to respond. They released the dash cam video of the incident, right? Because in Minneapolis, they are extremely sensitive. They don't want another George Floyd. That was a disaster, having that man mistreated by the officers and die in custody, and it resulted in, as you know, tons of unrest and, a lot of, productive protests, but all kinds of nasty unrest. And so the police are very sensitive about this kind of a thing. So they released the dash cam video that shows the entire exchange between officers and the student. And the reality that the dash cam video showed was much different than the fictionalized version told by the students. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, what struck me about this story the most was actually reading people's comments at the end of the story. People made comments like, pull his scholarship immediately. One person made a comment like, if I was a human resource manager, this person's history would stop any future employment. And then he goes on to just bash this kid. And I read these things and it just felt icky. And I just thought, really? You want to pull his scholarship? You want to put a permanent black record on a permanent black mark on his record so people won't hire him? Really? I just think, in this case, this kid is a student, and he made a stupid choice, probably because he's caught up in the zeitgeist. He's caught up in this moment in history where there's, a lot of call for police reform and things like that. And I just think, what? This kid has already suffered. He's been publicly humiliated by this dash cam video being put out there. I think, what? Let him go. Let him grow. Let him learn from this experience. He's young. Why do you want to put a black mark on his life? Why do you want to hurt him? And so when I read those comments, here's an example of people on the right side of the political spectrum, wanting to cancel this kid, right, for life. And it's the same exact attitude as people on the left coming after Gina Carano and wanting to ruin her career and ruin her personally and just tear her down and make sure she never acts again. And man, people have become so hateful out there. And this is the show where we discover God through geek culture, and this story of Gina Carano's firings coming out of the geek culture world is politically charged, but it's coming out of the geek culture world. So I'm bringing it up, and now let's bring it home, and let's bring forth the telescope. Lord have mercy. That's what we're talking about today in this segment of the show. Jesus has an exchange with some of the cultural influencers of his day. And, believe it or not, in a way, they tried to cancel him. Well, they did the ultimate attempt at canceling him in crucifixion, and that did not work out very well for them. But anyway, we're not going there today. Today we're going to Matthew chapter 9, and here it is. I'm starting at verse 10. And as Jesus reclined at the table in the house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard it, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous but sinners." Mercy. That's the phrase, that's the word that just jumps off the page to me. And I think it's so applicable to this situation. Whether you're on the left and you hate Gina Carano, or whether you're on the right and you're disgusted by that kid who would dare make up something negative about the police, you know what? I want to challenge you to have mercy, to remember mercy. Listen, we cannot live together much longer if we continue to want to kill each other and tear each other down and ruin each other's careers and put a black mark on each other, permanently. We need to have mercy, even on people who are completely against us. Remember, it was Jesus who taught to turn the other cheek, right? If someone strikes you on the left cheek, turn to them also the right also. If someone takes away, your coat, give them also your shirt. These kind of teachings are all about interpersonal relationships, and they're about peace, right? Jesus taught, "Blessed are the peacemakers." Now, Jesus was a very confrontational person in his speech. He would come at his accusers sometimes very hard. He would tell parables about them, but you know what? He never raised a fist against them. He never put together a posse to go fight them. He never put together a smear campaign to spread lies about them. He never tried to politically maneuver. He was all about speaking the truth. He was all about confronting lies, but he was not a political mover in that way. And I think that we can take so much from his life if we want to. If we want to take that kind of a high road. If we don't want to, have our insides darkened and become, nasty, nasty, nasty people, I really think it's worth looking at the life of Jesus Christ. I wish that everyone would see Jesus as the Messiah sent from God, right? The Lamb of God who takes away our sins and died on the cross for us. But even if we just look at him in practical terms and take, what he taught about interpersonal relationships, right? Like, you ever seen a Chinese finger trap? I hope that's not a derogatory thing. When I was a kid, back in an age that was not so PC, there was a store in my hometown that sold Chinese finger traps, and you'd stick your finger. It was like this weave thing, this woven, wicker kind of basket-like material, but it was this little tube, and you'd stick your fingers in on each side, and then when you'd pull out, the thing would tighten up on your finger so you couldn't pull it out. And the only way to get that out, to get your fingers out of that trap, was to go slowly, just gently. And I just feel like we're in this age where we're having these knee-jerk reactions, and we're pulling so hard and pushing back so hard, and it's just causing this crazy rift. And I think that this fire Gina Carano thing is symptomatic of it. I think the comments I read about the student on the U of M is symptomatic of people just having this hate in their heart and not being willing to see people as people, right? Look the person that you disagree with, look them in the eye and have a conversation. Remember that they're a real person. They're a flesh and blood human just like you, with fears and dreams and love. Whether they're completely different than you or not, they're still a person, and you should still see them with that basic sort of love and dignity. And so I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that this episode made a difference to you. Hope it made you think about mercy. Show some mercy. Lord, have mercy. All right. Take care. Love you all. God bless. Bye-bye.
What's up, everybody? Everyone in this place, if you can do a handstand, I want to see your feet up in the air right now. Wave them around, that's right. Woo!